my name is Liam O'Dwyer and I work in DCU Library in Dublin. And as Peter said, I was just going to talk a little bit about my experience as an Irish librarian going to an Erasmus event abroad, which was quite a while ago. I was kind of shocked to see it was in 2013, so 9 years ago. I think I'll just try and, I suppose, give you a flavour of what it was like and what I liked about it and what I didn't like. Spoiler alert, I liked everything. But at the time, I think I was probably quite unaware of Erasmus as an opportunity for me as a librarian until our international office put a call out. And when I looked at the calendar of events, I saw there were lots of libraries offering individual placements, but also some hosting more structured group events, probably more similar to the Dublin event and the Marseille event. And personally, I like when I can see a structure plotted out. I find it a bit less daunting. I love looking at the program in advance. So that kind of attracted me. And this one of these group events was in Patras University in Greece. Patras is the third largest city in Greece and one of the most important ports in the country. The university there is quite young. It was founded in 1964, but it's quite large with more than 28,000 students. So it was a lot larger. At the time I was working in a college, St. Patrick's College of around 4,000 students. But I think as well as the fact that it was a structured and group event, it was also, I also was interested because it had a broad theme of digital, which was and is my area of work in libraries. And I tend to like technically focused events. I suppose I feel like safe in that part. But looking back on it, I don't know if I did learn a lot in terms of technical things, but I don't know if that focus was as important as the fact that it was a group event. I think that was kind of what made it what it was. So this was our group of 18 librarians from 12 different countries, and it was a nice spread across, north, south, east and west of Europe, and 13 countries, including our great Greek hosts. But as I say, the group dynamic made it very enriching, I think, just to connect in person with librarians from so many different places. I hadn't had that opportunity before, and I remember a lot of us in the group saying the same. And it took the initiative of Patras Library to make it happen for us. I think it was the first time they had run the week, but they've done it 4 or 5 times since. September 13 was an interesting time to visit Greece. There were anti-austerity strikes happening across the public sector, and that was kind of a backdrop to our week. Our hosts were very determined to go ahead with our week of activities and knowledge sharing. And I found both in their hospitality and their presentations, it was very inspiring how positive and proactive they were to maintain and improve library services in the face of severe cuts. And I think that was one thing I came away from the week with was, very invigorated and very inspired by their positive approach. And it wasn't in a vague emotional sense, but in very practical ways. And this knowledge sharing was mostly kicked off by presentations or demos by the Patras Library staff on different aspects of their digital initiatives and projects. And one thing I was really impressed with over there was how joined up their national approach was to all kinds of things like institutional repositories, consortium purchasing, union catalogues, even collaborative digitization projects and open access projects with other universities. And then also at a lower level in their use of open source softwares. So I took a lot of practical tips and learnings, I suppose, from their approaches. But also, as with all of these things, the questions and discussions that spun out of the presentations were just as useful. And I think a nice thing about going abroad and kind of moving away from your own context in an international group, I think there can be less a sense of hierarchy that is sometimes there unavoidably in a local context. And it can make it, I think it made the discussions very open and really, really great. As well as the Greek staff, we each gave presentations on our home institutions and libraries. This is me. I think I'm just glad to be in an air-conditioned room. I think maybe the one thing I didn't like was the heat in the midday sun, but it meant by the end that we had a really nice taste of European libraries over a few days. So away from the hard graft of our presentations and our group discussions, we had, like the Dublin event, we had a great variety of cultural events arranged for us. Some were within the university, like this archaeological museum, and others were further afield. Like, of course, we went to Greek Vineyard and had to sample the produce to make sure we got the full experience. We also, actually the library staff gave us a walking tour of Patras, which included ancient Patras, and we actually attended a concert in this venue one of the nights, which is a restored Roman Odeon. But those social events were great, I think, as others said, to kind of really connect and give you a chance to relax with your colleagues from other countries. And there wasn't pressure to go to everything. I think it was quite a tiring week, and a lot of people took, at least one evening to themselves. But it was definitely as big a part of the week as the more formal events. And in particular, our Greek hosts were amazing in terms of just the time they were, spending with us. And they gave us an impromptu Greek traditional dance. And a group of us went to one of our colleagues, Despina, who's here, to her house for dinner one night. And they were still the best sardines I've ever had. On our last day there, we had a barbecue in the university grounds, and it was just a lovely way to finish up. And as I say, it was quite kind of those informal setting. And I think just the fact of being away from your comfort zone, it's unlike anything else that I've done in terms of networking. So I suppose my takeaways, this is Panis, who was the systems librarian there, and also the barbecue king. He, the unique type of setting was, added a lot. The fact that you're there for a week, means that you'll share all kinds of experiences. And I suppose it is quite an active participation. It's quite full on. And for me, that was kind of daunting at the time, but I think in hindsight, I'd encourage anyone to feel the fear and do it anyway. And yeah, that was my experience in Patras.